When we talked about Aaron Siskind's photography, we talked about texture, black and white, tone, high contrast, and we talked about an emphasis on abstraction. So I have this image with some textures, and there's a variety of tones. So I have some lights and darks, and I'm going to show you how we can edit this to make it look abstract in the style of Siskind. So when you are looking at your image, you might want to consider cropping it to give it more of an abstract feel. So if I maybe pull around here, that's going to give me an image that's maybe a little bit more abstract. When removing the color, remember that you can easily just hit auto black and white, or you can take the saturation out of it. But that's not enough. When we look at Siskind's work, we talked about how the brightness and exposure was played with to give it kind of a high contrast tonality. So when we go to brightness and contrast, play around to see if making it brighter and upping the contrast looks better. If we go too far to the left, it gets really gray, and Siskind's work was really contrasty. So I kind of like that one. It's really helping it give a more abstract feel. But we can also play around with blacks, whites, and shadows. So if we look up highlights and shadows, you can play around with the brightness of your whites and the darkness of your shadows. And you might want to just play around with those levels back and forth until you get something that you're satisfied with. And then the last thing that you might want to play around with is filter and vignette. And the vignette is just going to darken up your edges a bit. I'm not sure if I like the vignette too much, so I don't think that I'm going to use vignette on mine. But right now I've taken my original photo of that texture and I've done some editing to make it look more like an abstract photo in the style of Aaron Siskind that still has the tonality that I'm looking for, the abstraction, the textures, the pattern, and repetition. Don't forget to save and download it when you're done.